Oh, there it is.
And we're live.
Did you hear me? I messed that up too.
And this music is terrible. You got to fix this music.
Yeah, something's off with the bass and the treble.
That was just a messed up beginning because that was a messed up game, and I'm a messed up guy now. So welcome to the Sports Porch. If you're tuning in, we're about, 27 minutes later than usual, but that would be because, of course, there was a playoff game.
There was a game.
Yeah. And I want to know what you're all thinking about it right now. But, of course, the Sports Porch, we are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and Instagram right now, which I'm watching right now. We got a lot of people joining us on Instagram.
A lot of people joining in.
Yeah, Schwaber's not even looking at Instagram.
Let's get right to it. Steve, fellow Yinzer Steeler fan for your entire life. And break it down for us.
Yes, and you can also call us. The number is on the ticker on the bottom of the screen, 412-805-7236. As usual, we have one line open.
We have an open line. Great time to call.
Thanks.
Well, this game had something for everybody, Mark. If you had hope and you thought that the Steelers could come back, there was a time in this game where you were like, hey, they're not out of it, so maybe they can still do it. There was a time when you were a Steeler hater early in the game where it's like, I told you they suck. They're getting their asses run over. There's no way they're ever going to be in this game. And if you're a Tomlin hater, you got everything you wanted because, it wasn't really his fault. The defense didn't show up or, the offense just didn't do enough. So no matter which way you look at this game, somebody's going to take something out of it that's going to fit in their mantra. And that, in a nutshell, are your Pittsburgh Steelers and have been your Pittsburgh Steelers for quite some time now. What I was really interested in over the weekend was not something that happened on the field, the last 3 hours. It was actually something that was said by Mike Florio at halftime of the first playoff game when he announced to the whole United States of America and the international community that Mike Tomlin would let us know if he wanted to coach next year. Not any, it's not anybody else's decision but Mike Tomlin. And you know what? He's probably right. And that's the problem. This game is a microcosm of their last 5 games. Look, in the last 5 games, the Pittsburgh Steelers gave up. I looked it up and I did the math. They gave up 40.4 points against on average. Their defense gave up that much. This is supposed to be an elite defense, and it's far from elite. In fact, it might be worse than Dallas's defense. And we don't have Dak Prescott to throw for 400 yards to get 30 some of those, points back. So that's the problem. And that was the problem with the game. Actually, I was texting with you guys. I see this game as a total microcosm of the Steelers season. It starts out, maybe we're okay. And in the middle, somewhere it goes haywire and we suck. And then somewhere in the middle towards the end, it looks like maybe we can pull it out. But in the end, you know what? We really can't pull it out, can we? And that's really been the Steelers season in one game. Mark, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I want to give the Steelers some credit here because I really did think that Buffalo was going to blow them out. And when it was 21-0, I thought we were well on our way there. So I think they showed a lot of character, staying in this game and putting up a fight and closing it to a 1-score game in the fourth quarter. I thought outside of that first interception in the end zone, I thought that Mason Rudolph played a pretty good game. They also, they weren't terrible running the ball either. I think they total as a team 22 carries for 96 yards or something. but it didn't seem like it was enough. Or there weren't really many chunk plays out of the run game. And look, let's face it. I mean, the Steelers defense is a different defense when TJ Watt is on the field. I mean, there's no question about that. Now I don't think that their defense really was as good as advertised this year. But I do think that if TJ Watt is in there and healthy, you got a chance for turnovers, just by the havoc that he imposes on the game. So, unfortunately, I think that the hard part is, as somebody who would prefer to have a longer playoff run so that, our show could keep going.
It will keep going.
It seems like
Go on,
it just
Clobber.
seems
We know
it just,
that.
It just seems like to me, honestly, that we're not much further along than we were last year. Which is kind of where this is at, where Tomlin continues to have a winning season. One year you make the playoffs, the next year you don't. It's 9-8, it's 10-7, it's 8-8. And it's one and done. And to me, what it really, for a while, like, when you were back towards when Ben was playing, it was actually probably even more frustrating then because you had Ben Roethlisberger. Now it's kind of like, well, you almost sort of expect it because they don't necessarily have an elite quarterback, and that I think is the big thing that's missing. Like like for example, like flip it around, put Josh Allen on this Steelers team, and I think the Steelers win this game.
Yeah, but we can't do that. And
I know you can't do that.
Sam makes a really funny point. Josh Allen did bend us over and said, "You suck." And he basically took it to us just like we thought he would. And the weather didn't matter. The elements didn't matter. Josh Allen mattered. And he's the guy who could get it done. And he didn't make any mistakes. And you know what? Rudolph played good for Rudolph, right?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is this defense is terrible. Even if TJ Watt was in, I'll grant you they are a better team with him in. Even when they're in, they still are a terrible playoff team. In the playoffs, their defense is horrible. 31, 42, 48, 45, 36 points. That's how much the defense has given up their last 5 playoff losses. They're terrible. They just can't stop teams. And somebody sent me an email, or I'm sorry, somebody sent me a text that said that I want to get this right, that of the 5 playoff games they lost, Steelers have been outscored 66-0 in the first quarter in those games. 66-0 in the first quarter. When you're getting behind by that much and you have an elite defense, you want your defense to go out there to set the tone. And they don't set the tone. They set the tone the opposite way. Come and score on us and do it frequently. That's the problem with the Steelers. They're not afraid. They're afraid to look in the mirror and say, our problem is the defense. It's not necessarily the offense, although they do have some offensive problems. But the offense can keep you in it. But the defense is not winning games. And if you look at the Steelers this year, how did they win games? Kept it close. Defense got turnovers. Offense didn't make mistakes. Well, in this game, the offense made a couple mistakes and actually probably made 3 mistakes. And I saw something about the refs didn't help us out. Well, the refs didn't help us out except for that fumble that should have been a fumble, which they said, well, it was a fumble, but it was going out of bounds. But yeah, that's what it was. It was a fumble that was going out of bounds. And clearly the ball was never out of bounds. Freiermuth never touched the ball. He wasn't on top of somebody. It was just the script trying to work in the Steelers' favor to keep him in it. So, the thing about the refs, you just have to just forget about it. So I think the problem is, one, Buffalo 100% was the better team and deserved to win this game. Let's just say that for what it is. Buffalo is better than the Buffalo teams in the past because now they can run the ball. And before, that's when Josh Allen made mistakes. He had to throw the ball all the time. So guys like TJ or Miles or whoever you want to say is a good pass rusher can get to him because he always has to throw the ball. But now they can run the ball. What do? You know, that's a problem. The only beef that I have with the refs, by the way, was why was that not a penalty on the guy who hit JP Jr. J, J,
You're
JP
right.
Jr. in the back? Come
Yeah.
on. And the other thing too is, I'm sorry, but the slide rule, the slide has to be eliminated from the NFL. F that. If the quarterback wants to run the ball, the quarterback should be able to run the ball and get hit like a real man. If this is a man sport, and we're allowing the quarterbacks to get hit if they want to be a runner, take the GD slide out of the game.
Yeah,
It's
I
just,
agree.
it's just
I'm
too
gonna
ridiculous.
have to take control now, Steve. You've blasted off here for a good.
I would
10
agree.
minutes.
I would agree. That was kind of a bang bang play. And it's like, look, you know, when they do it in slow motion, it looks like it was late. But I mean, instantaneously, it was like a bang bang play. He didn't know he was sliding when he launched. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
they're
right.
never gonna. By the way, they're never going to
No.
do that because they
Of
want
course
to
not.
protect the quarterbacks.
Of course not.
And
Let's acknowledge some of our friends here that have been commenting this entire time. DG has finally lowered his blood pressure enough to join the porch. Welcome as always,
Welcome,
DG.
David. Yes.
Sam Furiano is watching on YouTube. He's had a lot to say. Of course, Amy May says Tomlin needs to go. Let's start that again. Jeff Richter had a comment about the defense on Facebook. Janice Klein is sorry for all her Yinzer friends. I'm not sure who she's referring to there.
Well, Chris, what are your thoughts on the game, Chris?
Well, I was thinking that I
director?
wasn't even going to get a chance to say anything because Steve is just so incensed about the entire idea. And he's talking so much, my mouth got dry and I finished my cup of water.
Well, look, I mean,
I got more, so you know.
I
You
know
want me
you
to
do.
keep
I know
going?
you do.
I got
Well, and
lots
Schwaber
more.
wants to leave because he wants to watch the Eagles pound Baker Mayfield here.
Well, hey, you know, look, we know that you spend a lot of time behind the switchboard there, TD.
You're funny.
But I think you do have some, football knowledge. Please
A little bit.
Share it with
A little bit. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm looking at this right now because we all knew who picked. I'm looking at this.
By the way, the Grand Swabini is 5-0.
I get it. We'll get.
Although
there
I
in a
did
second.
pick the Bucks.
I'll get there in a second. Well, you did that because it's superstition. Rudolph was 22. Rudolph was 22 of 39 for 229 yards, a touchdown, and that interception, which I don't think was his fault. It was a really good play by the defense. Josh Allen 21 of 30, 203 yards, 3 touchdowns. Now he did run for 100 yards almost. I know he ran for over 70 yards.
70 something.
Yeah.
But one was on one play, the 50.
Yeah, 52 yards, the second longest run in NFL history in the playoffs.
Incredible.
Really?
So
quarterback.
I think the thing that I'm looking at here is this did not answer any questions about the future because we all pretty much knew. Now I picked the Steelers to win in our poll last week because you guys picked the Bills and I wanted to be a homer, but my gut was telling me that once they switch this to, better weather conditions that,
you're also just really, really bad at picking games.
I mean, yeah, that too.
Really bad.
Well, I mean, he does play the contrarian, which isn't a terrible thing.
Right,
yeah, no, I like playing the contrarian, but anyway, so what I'm saying is that it doesn't answer any questions here. First of all, I think Rudolph looked fine. I don't think there's anything to complain about there. He played the game he was supposed to play. There were a couple big plays we didn't get. There was an interference call that I do believe was an interference call that could have possibly changed the outcome of the game. But the bottom line is that there was no TJ Watt. And without TJ Watt, it's really hard to win football games for the Steelers. They are now 1-11 without TJ Watt. There's nothing more you can say about that. I heard a lot of people all day long commenting about what does it say about one player on the defense? You tell how bad is your defense? It's not about that. It's about the effect that player being in the lineup, how it raises the level of play of the other people around you. And he wasn't there to raise that level, and that missed tackle by Minka, I'm not a fan of a guy who's out for 5 weeks, even if he's a Pro Bowler. He made the Pro Bowl, or he's all pro. For why? What did he do this year? But in all honesty, I digress, and I'm going on a tangent. We have not answered any questions for next year at the QB position. I think Mason played worlds better than Kenny Pickett would have played, especially after the Steelers got down by 2 scores. Once the Steelers got down by 2 scores early in the game, Rudolph was able to compose himself and make it a game. Our defense did not deliver. And therefore, we have no answer to any question about next year and who the quarterback's going to be.
Can I tell you how wrong you are on TJ Watt?
Sure.
The problem with TJ Watt is
Please tell me how wrong I am in general, Steve. It seems to be the going thing these days. So
I just want to keep it to TJ Watt. I don't want to get any more personal than that. Maybe Mark would later. I'm sure he would. In fact, I'm sure he would. But let me get to the TJ Watt
on a personal level, huh?
Let me get to TJ Watt first. Look, when TJ Watt plays in a playoff game, you know how many points got scored against the defense? 48 and 42. This year, he didn't play, and they got better. Only 31 points.
Yeah, okay. Well,
so, dude, I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this as
11 without him. There's still 1-11 without him, right?
Yeah, and they've won 0 playoff games with him. So tell me how that helps their playoff record. It doesn't. It doesn't help at all. In fact, it hurts it because now his salary is sucking up 4 other players who could tackle better and could make better plays than he can in his one uniform that's on the field 40% of the time. That's the problem. I mean, I'm being honest because I love TJ Watt and he's a phenomenal talent, but they spend the money in all the wrong spots. They got to go out and either get a quarterback or they got to draft a quarterback who's going to become elite. Ken Pickett is not that guy. Okay. Mason Rudolph is not that guy. Mitch Trubisky is not that guy. Guess who is? Josh Allen. They won. CJ Stroud. They won. Patrick Mahomes. They won. Now you get into the Jeff Goffs and the Matthew Staffords of the world. They're probably not elite, but at least Goff has a whole hometown behind him who haven't won a playoff game in 32 years or some shit like that. So granted, that's a little bit different.
But those guys, they're good enough. There's also quarterbacks that are maybe not elite, but they're good enough to win.
Good enough to win. Well, when you're playing like Love against Dak, right? Dak threw for 400 yards, but Love was surgical. He did all the right things at all the right time and made no mistakes. And honestly, if we had Love on our team, we probably would have had a better chance at winning this game. So those are the guys you have to go out and get money. You stop spending money on guys who have been great to the Steelers. And I understand why they spent the money on TJ, but the time is to shred him, send him away, and make the offense better. Maybe even just to blow this whole thing up. Look, you can't lose as many games as the Steelers have lost so bad in the playoffs since 2018. And think that this is okay. If you do, I get it. You can still be a Steelers fan, but to me, you gotta do something different if you want better results in the playoffs.
All right, I got a shout out to Soul. I got a shout out here. I'm sorry to interrupt. I know that drives Mark's wife, Amy, crazy. Soulwax79 on Instagram, because I just noted it said Steve equals a Myles Garrett fan, only because of the stuff you were talking about TJ. The
Browns have the same problem with Myles Garrett. They spend way too much money on that guy, and they spend way too much money on a quarterback who wasn't elite, which is a much more horrible problem to have.
Right, that's
because now you got $30 million tied up in a guy who is good as Joe Flacco, and you just paid him $1 million to play 5 games, and he won 4 of them.
How about that? How about that Joe Flacco explosion, though? How about that? I didn't see that coming. I didn't think he was gonna. That's not true.
We knew it was going to run its course.
I'm the only one that let's go over our picks real quick from this past week. Browns at Texans. Mark and Steve took the Texans. I took the Browns. Dolphins at Chiefs. Chris and Steve took the Dolphins, so I don't feel quite as dumb. Mark took the Chiefs. I took the Steelers and you guys took the Bills. Mark took the Packers.
The Grand
Yeah, he did.
Swabini. The
He
Grand
hates
Cowboys.
Swabini.
Dallas. He hates Dallas
I know,
more than
I know,
any of
I
us,
know, I
which
know.
is pretty bad because
He took the damn Packers.
yeah.
Seriously. Yep.
I'll tell you what though.
Do you have a FanDuel account, Schwab?
That
You
I
should.
do. That was
now
that
the
was
truth
that was a
comes out.
brilliant coaching strategy by
Yeah, it was.
LaFleur to
Yeah, it
take the
was.
ball first, put the pressure on Dallas, and they couldn't respond with that pressure on them.
No,
Dude,
no.
what LaFleur did was absolute brilliance. And that
Yeah.
should be put up as the gold standard on how to make underdogs believe in themselves. Because that's exactly what he said. He's like, guys, we're going to go out there and lose 35-10. I think that was my prediction.
Mhm.
Nobody believes in you. But you know what? I believe in you, and we can do this. And in order to get it done, I'm going to say when we win that toss, we're taking a ball, and when it's going down their throats. And you know what? That only works if they could actually do it.
I was
And
going
they
to say
did.
it only works if they.
It
if the
only
ball
works.
does go
It only
down their
works if they
throats.
can do it. But he had
Right.
he had a. And did you see that Dallas team in the first half? Did they
Oh
not
my
look like
God.
they were stoned or high or like taking acid or something?
Stunned.
They were like, what?
They were not even. They didn't even show up, man.
They had no idea what was going on. I've never seen that, and I've seen some Steeler teams. I was in that AFC Championship game where we lost the San Diego Chargers, and I can tell you, I've seen some stunned faces, but I've never seen anything like that. Nothing.
Yeah.
That for as a former Commanders Redskins fan, I can tell you that face is the face of every Redskins fan for the last 23 years. So I'm very used to that face, to be honest with you. All right. Well, listen, man, I think you know, it was good to have playoff football again. The Steelers organization achieved their goal and made it to the playoffs to provide us all another heartbreaking loss.
Because once you're in, you never know what can happen.
Absolutely.
Wait, can I ask you guys a serious question?
Yes.
If Mike Tomlin has a losing
No.
record in the playoffs, does that still mean he's never had a losing season?
That's a great question, actually. Does he have a losing record in the playoffs?
Yes, he's now like 5-7. He
Is
needed
he?
to win this same game to get to 500.
What's
get
up,
6
Jeff?
and
Jeff
6.
Paulus from York, PA.
Yeah.
So now he's
Yeah.
5-7 in the playoffs.
And how many of those?
Mike's
and
right
ha-
about Jerry Jones, by the way.
And,
Yeah.
and how? Yeah.
I
And how-
wish
and how many-
wish
How
Eddie
many
will on
losses
that
in
guy,
a
but I
row
wish
is
he
it
would leave.
though, Steve? How many?
How
losses
many in a row? 5 in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, 5 if you include the AFC divisional championship game
Okay.
against the Patriots. It's 5 in a row, and I'm counting it because that
So
was,
he started 5-2, and now he's 5-7.
that's right. Mhm.
Okay. Well,
And actually, most of the 5 were like in his first or second year, right?
Well, right, because they went to the championship game
Right.
that year, and then
They
the
won
other
the
games
Super Bowl.
before that, they won the
Right.
Super Bowl.
Right.
Yeah, and they
okay, so
lost.
they're not
lost
going
in the
to
Super
they're
Bowl.
not going to
Yeah.
fire Tomlin. He's got 1 year left on his contract. All kinds of rumors.
Well, you
out
know,
there.
it's up to him, Chris.
It's
Yeah,
up to
Chris,
him. Yeah.
it's not up to the Steelers. It's up to Mike Tomlin if he
It's up
wants,
to him.
if he can come back. He
It's up
needs
to
to
him.
consult with his family. He needs
Yeah.
to consult with his friends, and then
Yes.
he'll get back to the Steelers about it.
So what do you think? You
I
think,
think
it
he
should be
needs
up
to
the
pray
Steelers?
on it a little bit.
Oh, he'll do that. He's
Going
a
there.
spiritual guy.
Yeah, he needs
I
to
mean,
pray on it.
I wouldn't doubt that he'll do that. But the reality is, it should not be up to him. But the reality is, it is up to him.
Yeah.
It'll be real interesting to see what happens now. This is a worst case scenario, by the way, for the Steelers brass, for the owners, because they can't win in this situation. If they don't extend him, then I don't know what Tomlin will do. He'll probably play out the season, I guess. But if they do extend him even a year, they're going to get ridiculed for extending him after having, we just said it, 5 playoff losses in a row, and now a 5-7 record in a career in a playoffs, which he started off being incredible. I mean, there's no win for the Steelers. The Steelers top-notch people on this one. I don't envy them, but I'm glad it's finally turning the screws to them because we've been feeling it for some time down here in the trenches.
Yeah.
The trenches.
All right, guys. I am off to watch the final playoff game of this wild card weekend, but it's not the weekend.
Super wild card
Listen,
weekend.
Today was a
includes
holiday,
Monday.
Schwaber. Today was
Yeah.
a holiday.
I know. I
It
celebrate it.
was. Absolutely. DG says, good luck to Mark's Eagles. The Eagles are so much better than the Bucks. Hopefully they'll show up in force.
We shall see.
Jeff Paul
Hope
All
your
right,
says,
defense shows up, Mark.
says, go Baker. That's Jeff. Typical York stuff. All right, Schwaber,
All right,
you have a
fellas.
good one. Go Birds.
See you, Mark.
I'll tell you.
Where do we go from here?
Well, I'll tell you what, this is tough. We'll be back next Monday night to talk about the aftermath, the press conferences. Did you see how pissed off George Pickens was on the sideline after that interference call? I thought, oh my God, we're gonna have an incident.
I didn't see that, but you know what? I think the NFL.
They showed a shot of him. He threw his helmet against the bench. It was
really?
so mad. Yeah, he was so mad.
I think the NFL has a problem. I mean, I thought it was prevalent in that Kansas City game. All these players, oh my God, that was a penalty. That was a penalty. It's like,
yeah, I don't like that.
Everybody's clamoring for a penalty. It's like
Yeah.
they should say, if you're clamoring for a penalty, that's a penalty.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's your penalty. Here, you want a penalty?
Right.
It's on you for being a
Right.
dumbass. Get back to the huddle.
It's an old school thing, dude. I know every time they celebrate a first down, every time they celebrate everything they do, I'm just reminded of the Jerry Rices and the Art Monks,
Barry Sanders,
and the Barry Sanders, and the guys, and even the Emmitt Smiths. He'd score
Barry
a touchdown.
Sanders always gave the ball back to the ref after he scored.
Right to the ref, right? So that's that's old school.
I just don't understand. Like, they think in the refs, I think, called a terrible game. Part of the problem is the refs are intimidated by these guys on the field.
I don't know. Maybe they are. I don't know about that. I mean, refs.
I think they are. How many times 10 years ago, if you're watching an NFL game, would you see the refs get together to talk about the play and make sure that they got it right?
Okay, we're looking at Mark's place here. What do you see there? I don't know. You know what's happened?
Oh, he left his
camera on, but the door is cracked.
Yeah, so you can only see like into his hallway. I think it's fairly dangerous to.
No, I don't think so at all. I don't think anything crazy goes on there. I think funny things like nachos walking past the door and stuff. Happen.
All right, well, leave it on. Maybe we'll see some walking nachos. Nothing funnier than a walking nachos.
It's a good thing the Pens won, or Steve would be in more of a rare form. That's what DG is saying.
Well, I guess somebody said I'm a Miles Garrett fan. I didn't even know where that came. I must be in rare form.
Yeah, well, I think it was just
Mark's gonna shut off the camera now.
What are you doing, man? What are you doing?
What are you doing? You forgot to shut off your camera.
What are you doing? Look at him. He can't figure out how to shut off the camera. This is so funny.
This is one of our more classic moments. This really definitely belongs in the Hall of Fame.
He's very intent on trying to find the off button.
Mark, it's the button on the right. Click.
Yeah, this is crazy. You're crazy. Look at that. That's so funny.
Come on, Mark. You can do it. Click.
Yeah, you can do it, Mark.
Come on, Mark.
Be okay.
Come on, Mark. You can do it.
Everything will be okay. Don't worry.
He finally did it. Hey, round of applause for Mark. He finally figured out how to turn off his camera.
Now he knows. Now he understands what the technical director has to go through. It's a constant battle.
We were just letting you have it right before we got on the show too.
I know it's a constant battle. It's like, where is that? What the hell? How does this? Why and where and what if and last time? Like that's all I do all day long, all night, in my dreams. You want to get a little HJ in there, or you're out of it because you did. Now here's the one thing that I do need to remind.
I already did my hockey Jesus.
I know that's what I was going to say. I want to remind everybody of this right here, and that is that the Hockey Jesus preaches on the podcast, which is on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcasts. After every single Penguins game. So it's Hockey Jesus. It's the Sports Porch podcast. But right after the Penguins game, you hop on the Sports Porch podcast, anywhere you get your podcast, and Hockey Jesus is going to give you a good rant. If the Pens lose, he's going to pray with you for the power play gods to turn this power play around so they can make the playoffs. I know Sid scored a goal tonight, right? Sid
Yeah.
and
Before we get to the hockey Jesus, yes,
I told
Amy,
Mark you were
Mark-
laughing at him.
Mark,
Yes.
Mark knows that we laugh at
Yeah.
him even on camera
Yeah.
and off camera. But
Yeah.
thank you for telling him.
Yeah, and 35 years. I mean, we've been laughing at him for 35 years. Most of that time behind his back, too. So,
Probably a good half of the time, yeah.
I mean, so 51-49. Is that still most?
Yes, it is, Chris. Yes,
Yeah,
it
okay.
is.
Thank you, Stephen.
But yes, tonight Sid did score a goal. Actually, he scored 2 goals tonight.
Oh, good.
And he scored an empty netter. So is that really a goal? Yes,
Take
it's
some
really
skill.
a goal,
Yeah.
but he did score 2. But he didn't get the first. The second line got on the board first in the second period. Oh, excuse me. Must be those nachos that Mark never brought me.
You mean the space there where they should be?
Yeah, where they should be, right? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
No, DOC was playing up on the second line with Gino, and they got some chemistry up there on the second line. I'm surprised that can happen. And
Hey, what's the sticker on that hydro flask, Steve? Our buddy.
Come on,
there
let's
it is.
go.
Yeah.
It's actually one of those reflector stickers. So if I
Yeah.
went outside and went like this and somebody shined a light at me, it would reflect right back in your eyes.
Oh, it's like the bat signal, but it's a penguin.
But it's the penguin signal, yeah. So
Gotcha.
if you ever need the hockey Jesus, just shine your light and look up in the sky, and there would be the penguin.
Shine a light on me.
No. We're not singing tonight. We're talking about the Penguins. So the Pens win. It's actually their first game in the second half, technically, because the All-Star game is this week. I don't even know what day the All-Star game is. My guess is it's Thursday. Why they would have it on the Thursday probably only makes sense because it may be the only game day that there's no NFL football games on.
Why do I feel it's somewhere in the future, and it could be way off?
Yeah.
There's going to be NFL football 365 days a year.
Well, I mean, you saw the XFL and the USFL merge, so now they have one team, one division.
Whatever. I
called
love
the UFL.
Right? I love the promo that I see on TV with, I don't know if it's Colin Hurd or one of these sports guys going, this is going to be a merger of 2 of the greatest spring leagues of all time. And I'm thinking, this is a merger of 2 of the only spring leagues of all time.
Right.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I could start the Monroeville Football League, the MFL, and be like, this is the greatest local professional football league of all time. It's got one team. We win every friggin' game. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Jesus. How much football can that? Like, I love football. I love football. I live for these 24 weeks or whatever it is.
Love it too.
Absolutely. Enjoy it like crazy. I am an NFL fan. I'm not a college fan. And the only reason I'm not a college fan is because to me, there was already a lot of turnover on college teams. And when I grew up in the 70s, the 80s, whatever, rooting for pro teams gave me like a hero, like a Cal Ripken, like a player in a team that stuck together. And to me, it was like college guys, after 3 years, they go into the draft or they transfer. So I just could never associate or identify with a team like that long term. So I have nothing against college football. So I love professional sports, but I can't buy into this. Like I would never watch, and I know there are a lot of people that do. Don't get me wrong. And there's nothing wrong with it at all. But I would never watch minor league baseball on television.
Well,
I just wouldn't. Now, and there are lots of people that don't.
Right.
But there are a lot of people, local people that go to the games, So I don't know why they're hyping this.
I'll tell you why.
Unless their marketing stuff tells them, their demographic studies tell them that millennials and younger are into this, in which case I get it.
Look,
so you
dude,
tell me your answer, Steve.
There are 2 things, and then I want to talk to Mike Lawrence's point about the peacock.
Yeah, I've got something to say about that too.
I got a peacock that's not happy about that. But the point is, dude, the NFL is a multi-billion-dollar industry, perhaps the only one in the USA, right?
Right.
They want to branch out into Europe, and eventually into probably Tokyo or the Far East, somewhere in China, something like that, right?
You think maybe Afghanistan? I mean, those
Not
would be some
not
rough
in our
times.
not in
You
our
wanna
lifetime.
you want
But
to talk about weather and home field advantage. You start
yeah,
playing football in Afghanistan.
yeah, there would be other delays that you probably would have to factor into that. So they're probably a ways away from Afghanistan. But to get to Europe, they're really close because they already play some NFL games there.
Oh yeah.
So I think what they're going to do is some of these teams that you see in the spring will be in that area. So it's a test market for that area for the NFL. And they're basically saying if you take one of these teams, then you'll be in running. So when we go international, your team will get there. And that's where it's going.
Right.
That's
But they
absolutely
did
where it's
this.
going.
They had the World League of Football. That
No,
was
no. This is different. This is entirely run by the NFL, dude.
Well, yeah.
Those were competing leagues against the NFL. This is
That's
the
true.
NFL establishing its dominance over football 24/7, 365. That's where they want to go. And here's the problem. The problem is they do things like Peacock. And that's why I wanted. That's why I wanted.
Let me get this comment up here. Why is the NFL doing a playoff game on Peacock? Are they going to make us pay for playoff games of the future? Greedy bastards! Listen, before you say
they just did make some people play for a playoff.
It was the most watched streaming event ever.
Well, right, and how do you know that?
What they were doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's why they did it. Because you know why? The most watched streaming service before that was probably Mr. Beast doing some fun thing with some people that got like a couple million views. When they know if you put a playoff game on just exclusively on Peacock, that they're going to get at least 10, 15,
they
maybe
had
20 million.
33 million.
They shatter it. And that's why they did it. And they also did it because Peacock is a shitty platform and doesn't have anything to offer. So what did they do? They said, hey, buy it for a year for $30 and it's really cheap. And this is the only time we're going to offer it is right now. And you know what a lot of people did? They gave them the double bullets and they said, no way, I'm just going to stream it how I normally stream it. And you don't need to know how I do that. And that's what a lot of people did. But still, if they got 33 million on their Peacock, that's a total win for them and expect more of it in the future. I bet in the future, they're going to start with the Super Bowl and they're going to make it pay-per-view.
Who says that it doesn't pay to be cocky?
There you go. It pays. They're a billion-dollar industry, but
that was my contribution.
They're absolutely going to reach a point where they're going to jump the shark. They're going to do something really dumb.
Well,
I thought this was dumb, but not really dumb.
It's a network streaming service, and you and I grew up on the networks. Okay,
and listen, I here's something you only hear right here on the porch. I'm breaking this. I bet you, I don't have proof, but I bet you Taylor Swift got involved with the NFL in Kansas City, and Kansas City was the game that they picked for a reason, because they knew that they would get non-football players to also pay for the service just so they could get a chance to see some Swifties, see their Taylor Swift doing that, whatever dance that goes like this and that. I bet you that is the absolute reason. They're trying to pump up their shitty platforms with a brand that works. And you know who else has been doing that? ESPN. And they've been failing lately. So Peacock better watch out. And they better learn from what ESPN did wrong. Because that is a dangerous road, my friends. A dangerous road.
So is some of the love dust from Taylor Swift wearing off now, Steve?
Oh, no. I still love Taylor Swift. But
let's make sure we get that out there. Because you've pretty much ruined any chance we ever have of having a show on Peacock, no matter what they pay. Okay, so you've blown that for us. Now,
well, trust me, I don't think Peacock's going to be. I don't think Peacock is the one. I don't think Peacock is the one we have to worry about, because I don't think they're going to be around much. To be honest,
I mean, I'm not worried about that. I'm
just here to speak
money.
I'm just here to speak I'm here to speak my truth, Chris.
Yeah.
And if Peacock can't handle that, they're going to have to get their truth on the air somewhere else. Yeah, and they will. And I'm not worried about the Peacock, right? Yeah. But as far as Taylor Swift and my love for Taylor Swift goes, I still am madly in love with Swifties, because I think they're some of the greatest people on the earth. However, I do absolutely believe that this not quite a marriage yet, but this relationship between Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce is more. It's more in depth than I thought it was.
It's an arranged
But-
marriage.
But I believe it is an arranged marriage.
I agree.
And I think at some point down the road it's going to fail. And I just find it very interesting that Taylor Swift doesn't have the Super Bowl blocked out in her plans. She already has her tour starting over in Tokyo before the Super Bowl starts. So if you Kansas City fans thinks you're going to the Super Bowl, I don't think so. I think Taylor Swift has already put that little nugget out there that says, Easter egg, I've already booked my tour in Tokyo, and it's before the Kansas City Chiefs get to the Super Bowl. So I don't know. It's going to be hard. I think it's going to be hard sledding for Kansas City and Buffalo next week. Let's just put it that way.
Script. There you go.
Let's just
you
see
know,
what
last night in that game last night on was it the game on Peacock last night? No.
Last night, no. Yeah. No. Last night was,
It was
Detroit.
Sunday Night Football. Mike Tirico, he let it slip. The NFL has a script twice.
Oh yeah. He said it on purpose.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, he said it on purpose.
Now,
Like,
full
you
disclosure.
can't write this. I think he was saying like
You can't
write.
He
this
said talk about a script in the NFL. He said there's talk about a script in the NFL. So he's acknowledging that people are out there, and it's more mainstream that they like it. He said you couldn't write a script any better than this. Talk about a script in the NFL. You couldn't write a script any better than this. And then he said something else later in the broadcast about the script again. Now, full disclosure here, guys, we make fun of the script.
We do.
You know?
We love making.
We're not script conspiracy theorist. Although everybody that watches knows that I am a huge conspiracy theorist. But on this, I'm actually. Funny thing is, on this, I'm a little bit more like 50-50. So, yeah, and Pat on track. He's watching on LinkedIn. So, hey, listen, man. You know what's crazy is that we're gonna have to do a small segment this week and pick this weekend's playoff games.
Oh yeah, we will.
We're gonna have to do that. So maybe we can punch that up like tomorrow night or the next night or the next night or something like that.
Wednesday's better for me, but yeah definitely.
Yeah, because at this point right now, I just got to go.
Hey, by the way, congratulations, Patrick Donovan, and your Buffalo Bills beat us.
Absolutely, Pat on track.
Take out those Chiefs for us and take the Swifties with you.
Yep, you got it. Hey, listen, guys, thanks for watching the Sports Porch. I'm going to drop the podcast right after the show, the Sports Porch podcast on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or anywhere you get your friggin' podcast. Good night, Jeff Paulus. And, of course, you can catch us on theporcheslive.com, theporcheslive.com.
Theporcheslive.com. And don't forget, this week I will be putting out a mid-season spectacular on the Hockey Jesus.
That's it. I am your technical director. And I am out. Mm.